Cars are getting more and more expensive, but there's one that is trying to push against it, and that is here the owner generation of the Dacia Duster, starting below 20,000 euros or below 20,000 pounds in the base version though. We're going to find out how capable is it and how does it perform on the German Autobahn, even at maximum speed. This we have to find out here in Germany with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the new, very likable design, I feel. Yeah, here this DC Comics logo, new Dacia logo here in the front grille. Also the daytime running lights, so more modern look and the very rugged look here. Look at that. This is also the extreme trim, the most off-road capable trim, so to speak. We also have the 4x4 version, which has a lifted ground clearance of 1 centimeter, overall at 22 centimeters or like 8.5 inches. The approaching angle in the front, 31 degrees. So this has ground clearance and approaching angle of a Toyota Land Cruiser actually. That is funny, isn't it? But a really cool striking look on the outside. Cedar green is our color for today. And in the side, we start with 16-inch steel wheels, 17-inch aluminum, and these are the biggest ones, 18-inch aluminum wheels, here then with the winter tires. And once again, this really rugged look here. This is a Starkle material, a recycled material. You also see these sparkles on the inside there. So I really like the look from the outside, also being like an off-road fan myself. Here also the bronze accentuations, the contrast in this extreme trim. This also looks pretty fancy. And the thing is that Dacia started off with the Duster, that people went for it because it was just cheap. And now people go for the Dacia Duster because they just love the vehicle, at least already from the exterior. The length here is 4 meters 34 or 171 inches. It is a tiny vehicle. Lately there also came out new the Dacia Big Star. We had it in the static presentation already. That is, so to speak, the bigger brother of the Duster, and we can also drive it for you very soon. Already right here showing you that the rear doors actually here opened, have this hidden mechanism. That's also quite interesting, isn't it? So different versions available. Usually it's front-wheel drive. Here today the all-wheel drive version, soon more to the engines. To the rear, more modern design here also with the light signature. And once again, this really cool rugged look. So this one speaks off-road on the exterior design language. And as I said, it has some serious off-road capabilities also from ground clearance, descending angle and also a departure angle. The departure angle is actually higher than the one of the Toyota Land Cruiser. That's funny, isn't it? And top speed, which we'll reach today on the German Autobahn, I can promise that to you, 180 kilometers an hour or 112 miles per hour. Here with this petrol version, the inbuilt hybrid would be a little bit slower. Then about the turning indicators in the front, nice LED, replace a part here of the daytime running light, that's cool. And in the rear, turning indicator here, yeah, this is the standard light bulb design. Under the hood, we have a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder, 130 horsepower. This is the petrol engine. Yeah, kind of small indeed. Acceleration figure 10 seconds or 11 seconds then with the all-wheel drive. So this is the only all-wheel drive possibility you have, all-wheel drive plus manual. As an alternative, you would also have the 1.6 liter 4-cylinder hybrid. However, the kilowatt hour capacity of the battery here with the mild hybrid system of the petrol engine is not so much smaller than the one of the hybrid. And then there's also an LPG version. Got to see about what makes more sense to you. Clear is that there's no like really powerful engine available, and we're also going to check out on the German Autobahn if it's actually sufficient here to accelerate onto the Autobahn. Starting with the interior and this Renault keycard, which they took over. Yeah, at least it's slim and fits in the pocket. Then door closing sound. It's not too bad. And here, once again, the doors open like that. The door closing sound is actually quite nice. Then interior, all hard pack here and here. What can we expect? And then what's actually quite cool that they carry out this, you know, like this Y design scheme. That's actually quite cool. And also with the structure here. Then also an entry sill badge. And in the extreme trim, we also have the rubber floor mats, everything set to off-roading, and also the seats. Look at that. This is a microcloud material. It's more like a neoprene material. So if you want to wipe things clean, easier, for example, for off-road use or for kids use, then this would be your choice. However, I gotta say that these seats here, they tend to be more sweaty in summertime. So I would prefer the jeans look style in the Journey trim. That is also more breathable material. Or if you go base, then you have normal like base fabric seats. So these ones I would really only recommend for this rugged use. For all other uses, I would really tend to go to the fabric seats. And then with 189, 6'2", still a lot of headroom left, so you have good space here available, and the seating position itself is actually quite comfortable. Cockpit overview, I think styling-wise, pretty cool. Here also with these materials. The structure here stamped in Duster. Also the air vents are actually quite nice, I feel. All hard packed plastic, of course, to save some money. Then the glove box, let's see if it's, no, it's not dampened. That's also, you might think, yeah, it's just a couple of cents, but it all adds up, of course, that's the thing. Then here the armrest could be a little bit softer. Underneath, more space, goes deep in there. Cup holders are also not adaptive. And then here, you also have different driving modes. Yeah, this button here also had some history already. You see it here on the high gloss black. And then you can also put in like a snow driving mode and so on for the off-road. There's even a hill descent control available. This one here being the manual version, long stick here definitely. In the front you can get an inductive charging pad if you like. It's not ventilated though, 2 USB-C chargers. And what I find quite cool here, a real manual climate unit with clicking sounds, so that's actually decent, easy to control. And then you either have no infotainment system or optional this 10-inch infotainment system. So the first alternative would be you have your smartphone. There's also this U-clip system where you can just put a smartphone holder right here and then you just look at your smartphone here. Or you go for this 10-inch infotainment system. Have it here also in the higher trim. So these two possibilities are there, and why not? And then here it's, let's say, a basic infotainment system, but you can also do the smartphone layering with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The steering wheel, by the way, up and down, in and out. It's also an animal-free material and actually quite decent. Real buttons also on the steering wheel. And then you also have some choice with the instruments. Here once again the DC Comex steering wheel. Here the rear buttons. For example, there's a speed limiter, but there's no extensive level 2 assistance systems or something. Very interesting, however, here to deactivate the speed limit chime in the EU and also the lane keeping assist, press 1, press 2. Then you can deactivate it with the My Safety Personal mode. And this one you can then configure yourself in the infotainment system what that means. Here the instruments, these are the 7-inch digital instruments. Base would be just a very small screen. Main infotainment screen, here the temperature is being shown in the lower left. You either have this home screen then here, or you can also use Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You also have some visualizations, for example here, but you see, yeah, it's not the quickest one. Gotta say though, I mean, no matter about savings, but the quality of the rear view camera shouldn't be anywhere in a modern vehicle nowadays. Rear seats here, inside of the doors, all hard pack plastic. What else could we have expected in this case? But I think, yeah, at that price point, maybe it's more okay than with other vehicles. And then here, Isofix outside each, and they are here hidden with a zipper actually. Oh, and then here, stuff already falls apart inside. Well, about the space and seating position. So when I'm sitting here as a tall adult and I'm driving, it still somewhat fits, but barely. But the seat here is very, yeah, you know, these kids who tend to push from behind or like push here like this. This you will definitely feel when you're driving in the front. And here, 1 meters 89, 6'2". So headroom is no problem at all. And the seating position itself is actually quite decent. So it's just about that you don't have too much legroom, but you have to think about it's a short vehicle. And for that very short length, the usage of space here is actually really good. Here in the middle console, by the way, we have another U-clip system. You can put that in here, additional cup holder. Then you have here like a bag hanger, or then here this additional torch. And you can also put these individual elements out and just put the hanger here, for example. So I think it's a nice and clever solution to have that here. And you can also get 2 USB-C chargers here for the rear. The trunk today is at 460 liters, a little bit more with the front-wheel drive version, a little bit less with the hybrid or with the LPG. And let's take a look here. Let's say it's everything simplified. Here 1 meter or 40 inches in width. Normal length here at about 95 centimeters. And underneath you can lift this up, but everything like has a very basic build quality. Take it that way. Here we can also put this one up. And there's this underneath. Yeah, and look at that, how this one is also from the build quality, so you cannot expect much here actually. This is also where the price is showing. Then to fold the seats, we have, so there we go, so 1/3, 2/3 split, and then you have this step here, and total length, here 165 in meters or 65 inches. Every vehicle here, when we have it in Germany, has to face the German Autobahn test, and also the Dacia Duster, and how you say in German for let's go, los geht's. Woo! Ah, 150. Whew. Yeah, and there we also hear the wind noise. 5th gear now. Oh, we even have 6th gear. Yeah, I mean, the wind noise is noticeable. It's like an off-road building style. From suspension, it's of course also very soft. Off-road style as well. Steering is pretty light. Also off-road style, so you feel also on the motorway that this one is an off-road vehicle. But let's say it's kind of windy outside, and how the car is shaken or not doesn't feel too unsafe. It's just more the wind noise, you know, that is even above 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour. It has notable wind noise here on the motorway. But other than that, it feels actually quite okay. The thing is, what with the acceleration here is 11 seconds for this all-wheel drive version of the 1.2 liter 3-cylinder mild hybrid we have here, petrol. And gotta say though, that this acceleration figure, and we also notice it when going on the motorway, and also at earlier situation with the truck, like when the truck is in lane, then you try to or have to squeeze in before it. This acceleration figure for nowadays traffic is actually a little bit dangerous. Gotta say that, you know, and don't have to say that above, like, you know, about a lot of vehicles, but here it is indeed for most German Autobahn users too slow. Yeah, that's the thing. Oh. Is the front hood shaking a little bit? Do you see that?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
A little bit, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it is here on the bridge. The wind is really strong,
but
definitely.
The seats are very good.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
Leah likes the seats. Yeah. I mean, they're nice, upright, comfortable. Yeah. Here with the microcloud material. Yeah, the head restraint is kind of hard. That could be a little bit softer. Yeah. I prefer the, as I said earlier, the jeans fabric seats. They are, to me, even more comfortable. But here, these ones, of course, you can wipe easier. And then here, let's do some lane change at 130 kilometers an hour. Yeah, you feel the soft suspension, but it's actually fun. Okay, yeah, it's fun. So it could be worse. Sure, when I drove it the first time here in New Generation on the Spanish motorway, and even not at that high speeds, it felt more wobbly. But maybe that had to do then with the tire pressure or something, or with the tire choice. Here, actually, it's better today. So again, from the steering, how the car moves and behaves, it does not feel unsafe at some higher speeds on the motorway. So I'm rather positively surprised about that. The only thing is really the wind noise that is really, really high, above 1 kilometers an hour or above 60 miles an hour. So that is something I wish they could maybe invest a little bit more. But then again, their first intention is to keep the price low. Yeah, and wind noise is then something where this car then is suffering from. So in that case, it's also good that it's windy outside, that we can really test that very well. Then let's do here one more lane change. Here we go. Yeah, it's actually fun drive. So what's still true is that when you look at the car from the outside, you think, hey, that's a fun car. And yeah, it is not premium at all on the interior. And you feel a lot of elements that are just cheap. Also, like from the new car smell is rather unpleasant than pleasant. But it is fun, you know, what it promises on the exterior, it is fun. And remember also what I said earlier, this one has a ground clearance and an ascending angle of a Toyota Land Cruiser. So we always have to take that one into perspective when we talk about the on-road behavior of this vehicle. that this one here is seriously capable of hard off-road driving. And then of course it's always tough to make that one also on-road suitable, although, for example, especially here customers in Germany, most are using it on-road, some are using it in the woods or something, but I mean, in Germany there are hardly any legal use cases for off-road driving. Here in this S combination is nice. I mean, it is fun. I love off-road vehicles, definitely. I also come from a two-wheel off-road background, used to drive motocross, mountain biking of course. And I'm always kind of connected to off-road vehicles, you know, and I like driving in the sand and stuff like that. So they always give you some unique feeling. How are you feeling in the corners here?
Good.
It's
No,
nice, it's
not
good,
that
good.
bad,
Yeah.
no.
That's always a good sign as well. And I have to say, the four-cylinder hybrid I drove in Spain on the motorway, that one did not feel as good as the manual pure petrol here, or the MHEV. I have to say, this one just gives you a better feeling for the vehicle, I have to say. Here, one more acceleration. I know you love when I drive the manual. Here we go, and now let's see if we can reach then top speed or something. Top speed here is 180 kilometers an hour, 112 miles per hour. Now we would here at 160. That would be the top speed of the hybrid. Woo. And here now 180 top speed. That's it. Everything this we can do, 112 miles per hour. Well, doesn't feel too bad though at that speed. Yeah, it's just the wind noise, but other than that, oh, that was that BMW put a stone on our windshield there. So yeah, but other than that, that's probably also a thing then when you have like a windshield that's standing that high against the wind. So the high-speed behavior is not that bad actually. Here also another lane change. It's somehow, I mean, you feel that it's shaking a little bit, definitely, when you do the lane change because of the wide suspension travel and so on, but it's also fun, you know, and indeed it is fun without that you're getting sick or something like that. So yeah, it is high-speed proof, I can say that. Gets the Autobahn stamp, but it does not get the noise insulation stamp because, yeah, you probably also hear that yourself, that they have to speak against that all the time. The steering feel itself, by the way, is actually good because it has no dead zone area. It just has the long steering way, and that is good for off-road driving. Blind spot monitor is, by the way, also in the side mirror, but you've seen here maybe it reacts way too late. So when the cars are approaching quickly, it almost has no use at all. So the blind spot monitor, wrong philosophy, it would need to warn more in advance. Actually, you can also set a speed limiter here, for example. Yeah, but that's it. There are no very sophisticated driving systems and so on. Yeah, and then you might as well also that you have this speed limit beep out deactivated here with the personal assistance systems mode, that you also don't have the lane keeping assist and so on. Here now at like 90 kilometers an hour, everything is fine with the wind noise and so on. So you definitely feel that this car is more at home in the city or also on the gravel roads and some off-road tracks and so on. This is where this car is mainly built for. It's just that I'm testing this one, of course, thoroughly because we can compare all the vehicles we had on the motorway, and also when you have a car in Germany, Autobahn is one of the primary use cases because most of the cities are surrounded by Autobahn. Autobahns in English, Autobahnen, you would say, like the plural in German. And even if you go sometimes from city to city, you use like a short trip on the Autobahn or something like that. So it's really crucial to know how that one behaves. Shifting here is actually fine, and it's also fun. And the thing is, with the inbuilt hybrid, it has like more power on paper, and you have a little bit bigger battery. But somehow I felt that, for example, when we were going uphill on the motorway, that almost as if the engine would be dying on you. And that's not the case here. So I feel like when you are in that certain gear, you know what you get with the manual here. So I'm usually a fan of automatics in the sense of you just have more comfort. But here that combination, I think, is the one to go for. Of course, the all-wheel drive if you have off-road use. Yeah, I think here the petrol engine should do better than the hybrid. Also, since this one here has the mild hybrid system and the battery capacity is not that much lower than of the true inbuilt hybrid. Yeah, and I mean, also talking about the consumption later on, you know, when we drive a longer way, was actually quite fine. It's also not a large vehicle, and the normal MHEV system here does a good job actually. And here at these speeds, this vehicle feels really at home. It's now in this right turn. See how it reacts then from the steering wheel. There we go. I don't have the best feeling for it, let's say, but it has no dead zone area, so that's actually fine. So to me, the most positive thing is that you get this sense of off-road driving and this also the sense of fun, and I just love that, you know. So yeah, it is sluggish in acceleration. It's also super loud at higher speeds, but still a lot of fun to drive it around off-road and on-road, definitely. As for the fuel economy, you can drive this one here, the petrol engine with around 6 liters on 100 kilometers, so 39 mpg US, 47 mpg UK. That's fine. I mean, it's also a small vehicle, so it could even be lower. This MHEV system also makes it a little bit more efficient, and it won't be a big difference then to the inbuilt hybrid. Yeah, this one here with the manual only, the hybrid you can get with the automatic then only. And this is more the question. And however, I feel that the petrol is a little bit more suitable to the vehicle because you are in the gears and you know what it does, and it then didn't feel so sluggish as the hybrid as I was driving. And some of the customer comments I already received from the last review actually also confirmed that. So we are all more or less, you know, fine with the opinion that it's rather better to go with the petrol. Or of course, if you are in a market where LPG is especially cheap, then it might also be an option. Overall, the thing is, it looks stunning on the exterior. The interior looks nice, but doesn't feel too good. In the interior, you feel they have done the cost savings. Also, of course, some cost savings with the crash safety and with the assistance systems. You just have to know that. So you do have to deduct something, you know, because the price is also deducted definitely. And talking about the price, as I said, starts below 20,000 euros or pounds, like 19,000 euros or pounds is the entry price. But then here, highest trim, everything, all the bells and whistles, you can add some 10,000. So this one here is almost 29,000 euros. And then of course you start thinking, wait a minute, do I buy a 29,000 euro Dacia Duster or maybe a used Audi A6? Yeah, you can get a used Audi A6 for like 26,000 euros, a good one, a good used one here in Germany, for example. Yeah, it's always a trade-off, no matter what you talk about. But I think it's still good that there are some cars that are still like below 50,000 euros or dollars, which is to today's entry price of a new vehicle, or like an average price. And that's of course a problem to many, many people nowadays. So it's still good that we have some offers also on the other end of the scale. And now you should check out the other review where we tested the hybrid from the Duster or the new Dacia Bigster.